All right, so we're here today with James, aka Kaiser Solche. How do you pronounce that?
Kaiser Solche, like the usual suspects. I didn't want to get sued by the movie makers. So I put the SOLZIE. It's supposed to be SOZ hyphen E, but got to change the spelling up for branding issues.
What made you want to use that?
Well, at that point in my life, I was kind of a ghost. I was traveling the country, just playing guitar on the streets. And I was in St. Pete, Florida, and I was busking outside of a place called Joey Brooklyn's Pizza. And there's a guy named Timmy in Joey Brooklyn's who was like, "Yo, who are you and what do you do?" And I'm like, "My name is James, and I play guitar, and I'm from Rochester." And as I said that, it sounded kind of lame. And I'm like, I got to figure something out here. And a couple days later, Timmy came up to me and he's like, "Hey, you want to come and record at my house? I've heard some of your songs, and I wanted to make sense of this." So he brought me to his house that night, and pizza and beers. A couple songs later, we had 13 songs on a broken computer and a dangling microphone in the ceiling. And we're watching the movie The Usual Suspects at the end. And he goes, "You're kind of like that Kaiser Solche character. You're kind of like a ghost. Like you pop into people's lives and then pop out. You're there 1 minute in St. Pete, Florida, playing on a street corner, and then I don't see you for a year. And you're in Atlanta or in California or doing something." Basically, I was homeless, and I needed. Well, I was kind of jotting around the country, and I landed back in Rochester, homeless again, and I just figured out a way. I was watching YouTube videos, and I got into some of the folk punk stuff, and I was like, you know what, I got to go out and do something, and I have to be productive, and the only thing I knew how to do was play guitar. So I ended up one night going to East Alexander and trying to suck it up and going, I'm going to try and play a couple of songs. And a couple of songs came out of that. And I went through the social services system, and I could not figure out how to sustain myself. You go to the welfare office, and you explain to them, there's this checkbox that says employed or self-employed or unemployed. I'd go into the social service office with my guitar on my back, and not a place to stay, and I'd go, I'm self-employed? And they'd look at me like, "Okay, how much do you make?" "Oh, last night I made $5. That doesn't work. So I eventually just started routinely Friday and Saturday nights going to East Alexander here in Rochester and playing whatever music I could play. Some cover songs, some my own songs as I was coming up with them in my head. Coincidentally, the song I wrote, Pirate Song, is about East Alexander and overcoming that fear of playing on the streets. That didn't make me any money. It made me pocket change, But I always wanted to be a performer, and I always wanted. I played in a band in North Hollywood called Villains and Victims years before. I had that itch.
How could you tell us more or less your story from childhood? What happened there?
I'm the 2% that they say. Not in the government standards. Well, in the government standards in a way, I was a foster kid. I aged out of foster care. I picked up a guitar because it was something to give me a release. My mother died when I was 14, and I was in the St. Josephville Hillside foster care gauntlet of group home, foster home. And one day, I'm in St. Bernard's Cottage in St. Josephville, and I run into this kid. Just comes in the day. He's got hippie hair and he's got a guitar on his back. Dave Milzarski, his name was. And I go up to him. I go, "Hey, Dave, I like this band called Green Day. Would you want to play music with me? Teach me how to play some things I like." Coincidentally, my first instrument was drums. I would play the drums at Reverend Valerie's chapel at the villa, and then he introduced Dave Milzarski with the guitar. So then, me and Dave Milzarski, little kids on the villa campus, are trying to play music together. I don't know shit about drums. I don't learn any drums. Around that, Green Day's Dookie just came out.
So how old are you?
I'm 36 now.
You're 36.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I remember the highlights of that year was Green Day. Yeah, Green Day's Dookie. So it was '94. Green Day's Dookie came out that year. That's the thing, because I was trying to learn drums to Longview. Green Day's Longview.
Yes.
So I ended up with Dave Milzarski at this church, and he couldn't play Longview on the guitar. So I just got frustrated with it one day, and I go, Dave, can you show me how to play Rain Stew by Green Day? And he goes, I know the song. So yeah, I forced him to learn the song on guitar so I could play the drums on top of it. And then I just said, you know what, just give me the guitar. And I started playing Rain Stew. And then my release was, I didn't know how to, that's the thing, I still don't know an A from E. I had to learn how to play music then. And I didn't know an A from E. There's nobody in St. Bernard's Cottage that knew an A from an E or was going to teach a 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid an A from an E at that point. So I thought. So I just started to sneak into the internet world and get tablature and start to learn what tablature was. And I'd sit there learning every Green Day song and every Blink-182 song on tablature. Just the 1, 2, 3, 5, 3, 3, 5, you know. And
all of this self-taught.
Yeah. I had two choices: getting my ass kicked by the bigger kids or the staff members, or go hide away and play guitar. So I obviously, come on. But you know, that me and Dave Milgazarski were the weirdos, obviously, when you do this stuff. We played a one-talent show for the Villa campus that was horrible. I don't even remember playing it right. We were trying. It was the first time we ever tried as kids. But I got this taste for, like, entertaining people. You know, I would be the kid when I was in one, I remember being in one foster home, and I would go to church school. And on church school, I'd be the guy, the kid in church school with the fake phone talking to somebody. Like he's a big hotshot, but he's not. He's just talking to his hand. But, you know, you're a kid. You don't know any better. You're trying to be cool to your friends. So, you know, oh, I know such and such. And little do I know 20 years from then I'd be actually that person.
One of the things that stands out when I think about your band is this song, Bill Murray. What happened? What's the anecdote there?
That's the crazy part. Everybody still goes, Kaiser has an obsession with Bill Murray. And, you know, next year, the timing is perfect because Ghostbusters 3 is coming out. They're making it right now in Calgary with Bill Murray in it.
So you're stoked about that?
Yeah. I'm working on being a Rochester Ghostbuster. I'm an official Rochester Ghostbuster. I just got to suit up and all that stuff. But the thing was, I was on tour and I was in Denton, Texas, getting a horrible tattoo. And my friend that I was staying with comes, Kaiser, give me a look at this on the internet. And on the internet it showed, from Super Official News, Paul Horner, Bill Murray's party crashing. He's going to go to 32 cities, and he wants 3 things: karaoke, wine, and to be called Kaiser Solche. And this article was very convincing pictures that exist of Bill Murray sitting on a couch, passed out. You know, pictures that, yes, he is known to frequent different places and do certain things. So I got it in my head with the mental health side of me and manicness. I take something and I go with it. I go, well, Bill Murray's not me. That's me. And I got it in my head that, well, as the week went by, posters started popping up on the internet, at bars and at houses and at places around the country that said Bill Murray or Kaiser Solche could party crash here. So I put it in my head. I went back to my horse farm, as people call it, with my friend at the time, and I begged my friend's mother to get me a discovery pass on Greyhound. I put myself on a Greyhound bus and went to all those parties. And everybody goes, did you meet Bill Murray? I don't know. Did I play a lot of parties? Yeah. But the song came out of, literally, I believe in artists challenging each other. When Biggie and Tupac wrote messages back and forth to each other because they couldn't face each other, that was cool. When you heard a song about, I did this and I did that, and they talked direct messages, that you heard it on the radio the next morning, Biggie and Tupac talking to each other. You know, for me it was like, well, if I'm going to send a message to Mr. Crazy Bill Murray with some Hunter Thompson pizzazz to it, write a song. So I'm sitting at Dragon Con in Atlanta, my first stop, and I just had it in the back of the hotel. I'm just this homeless kid with a sign that says, have you seen Bill Murray? And a beaten up guitar, checkers on it. You know, I had nothing. I got a Greyhound ticket. So I ended up at Dragon Con, snuffing my way in. And there's pictures all over the country now. You know, yeah, I showed up. And when I did meet him, he goes, yeah, you crazy fuck. You know? Because the thing is, from what I gathered about Bill Murray was that he didn't want, the whole thing was a spoof anyways. It was a spoof. It was a hoax. But the reality of it is I made the hoax real. And that's the other thing about the whole Kaiser Solche thing is that as I continue to keep doing this, you could say that, yeah, he popped in out of nowhere on the Today Show for the iPhone 5C release. Where did that come from? he pops on stage with Pennywise on random spots. You know, Mike Herrera from MXPX calls him out in the crowd, and people go, "Who is Kaiser Solche?" I keep it going. And if you listen to that song, I go, "I'm the real kid from Rochester, New York. They really call Kaiser Solche." It was my message to Bill Murray going, "Come on, dude. You're coming to my world now." You know, and that's the reality of it. And people think, "Oh, I love Ghostbusters. I love Bill Murray. I think he's a brilliant actor. I don't think he's the bee's knees. He's not my favorite actor. Sorry." But he is, the myth of him, the character of him, is what is intriguing to me, is the fact of a celebrity that can put himself in other people's lives. And I think that's the whole thing rising with me with Kaiser Solche, is that I love putting myself in people's lives and helping navigate people to where they want to go.
Fuck yeah.
You know,
All right.
Murray's good at that. You know.
Cool.
The South, they're opening shops in Sarasota, Florida, Orlando, and Miami. Danny Wiggins wants his fucking money. And you notice he's only going to the retiree spots. He's not going to the poverty. He's going to the fucking straight to the spots where there's old ladies with mad money. Well, there's not much left to say here. I gotta run on home to make it on its way. Figure out the open road. I'm done with all these games and I don't think that I can play no more. Well, I've been around the world, back and forth like yesterday. From New York to Los Angeles, back to Rochester these days. I'm done with all these games and I don't think that I can play no more. Think about these times and all the wasted lives and all the times that we were right. Think about those days and all the wasted ways and all the times that we would fight. All the times and all those nights and all the times that we were right.
Fuck yeah.
That's not even on the record yet. Going on the next one.
Fuck yeah. An exclusive here.
Yeah.
You heard it first here.
And that is an old lady came up to me on the street and told me I was going to hell. That was my answer back.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those rare opportunities to just like let it all out, like to set the record straight. The road to a stage as important as the band's Warped Tour, well, maybe some of the viewers don't know much about that, but you were on that last tour presenting your music with a backup band. I remember it was Jamie, Lenny, Brian, and you. So they were playing your songs. You put out an EP called Back Again.
Yep.
I have a copy. I designed the cover,
Love it.
the artwork.
Still floating around the United States of America.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us where we can find a copy of your music, or
You can find it online, Bandcamp, Reverb Nation, iTunes, Spotify, it's all there.
it's all over.
Yep. We had a website, but it's down. But it'll be up soon. But you can literally just Google Kaiser Solche. It'll take you to where you gotta go.
Perfect.
The Google
Awesome.
brothers did us an honest.
So how did the Warped Tour come about? Like, what happened there?
I basically aged out of foster care. There was a point when a guy named Jeff Cooley came to me and handed me $200 and said, James Jackson, you're now 18 and we're not responsible for it. And I walked out that door and I already had it in my head at that point. At that point, the only thing that made me was I was failing at high school and my guidance counselor came to me and said, you can have an elective, it might help you. But, well, what do I do? I like writing. I want to be a writer at that point. I wanted to be a comic book guy. I want to make movies, tell stories. And at that point, I figured out that I could call Warner Brothers and tell them I'm such and such from the Grease Olympia Oracle, and they would give me a backstage pass to see Static X. And then I go, wait a minute, that just works? You can just call a record label PR person and be like, hey, I'm such and such, and we'll give you a backstage pass. You can go meet the band. And then the friends in my school I became this guy that was drawing comic books and then could interview bands. Two things that were like, cool, I don't have to be the nerd, I don't have to be the jock, I don't have to jump out of windows anymore or do any stupid things.
I love that. I remember when Wisconsin Death Trip came out. I love that. And then they put out Machine.
Yep.
And that's I just fucking love Machine.
And the funny thing about Static X is like I'm Les Wayne Static. I can't believe they're doing that to this world now. But that was when people go punk rock. I was not a punk rocker. I was in the bands I started working with was like metal bands. Like there was baby bands in Rochester. There was a band called Controlled Substance. It was like the Deftones. There was a band called Face First. That was all metal. Static X and Limp Bizkit were the thing then. So that was just riding the wave of it away. But then when I got a call from my cousin Don, and he goes, James, I'm going to take you out. My mom says I have to take you out. Okay, cool. I'm going to see a band called MXPX. Rose that level huge now. It is huge to me now because I didn't just do Static X. I did a band I really like. And this band is awesome. And I met him and I saw Soundcheck and I saw how the show worked and I was hooked. And I took pictures with him and it was cool. So I walked away like, this is awesome. This is what I want to do. I want to be in this world. And then I went back, started calling people and internet people and started meeting people on calling in managers and agents going, hey, I'm James Jackson. Creighton Burke told me to call. Cool, who are you again? Cool, awesome. And then I made my way to the Vince Snyder organization, which was the PR for the Warped Tour. In 1999, I ended up at LaSalle Park interviewing Travis Barker. And I go, wow, this is cool. Nobody knew what I was then. I didn't even know what I was. I was just a kid, found an outlet, And then in 2001, of course I'm homeless now, and I have nowhere to go. I have money enough to get to California. Let's go. Let's get on a Greyhound. I end up at Pier 3032. And the funny thing is, people wonder this whole Kevin Lyman and James Jackson connection. The first year I met Kevin, I was talking to him on AOL Instant Messenger like everybody else. Kevin worked with AOL. That's how I used to pick bands. And I just was another person chiming in to him. You know, he didn't know me from anybody. So at the seaside, you know, I'm at Boreal, or I'm in San Francisco, and I have no way. It just clicked. I get to the venue, I get in, I'm backstage. This is awesome. At least I know the Newfound Glory guys at this point, and the Phoenix TX guys at H2O. So I know some people, but I have no reason to be there. I was supposed to work with Phoenix TX, and that went through.
They have that album, Make It Happen.
No, they took the album, MXPX did, yeah.
Yeah,
Let It Happen.
yeah.
Like, I was supposed to work with all these people, and I always fell short. And so I gun-hoed it, and I said, here I am, my backpack, I don't know where I'm at, I'm in San Francisco, I've never been here before, let's do this. And luckily, I got a ride to the next show. I'm at the Boreal ski resort now, and I don't have a way in. Luckily, I got a pass from somebody I knew before. Now I'm at a foreign venue, ski resort in California. I don't know what I'm doing. And I go to everybody, I need to find Kevin Lyman. He's my contact. And everybody goes to me, well, you know, if you know him, find him. What does he look like? Well, he's got a Hurley shirt on. It's 1999, early 2000s, every freaking person has a Hurley shirt on. I run into, well, long story short, I run into Kevin. History is made then. I always kept going. I always kept, the first couple of years, I came back to Rochester, homeless. That's the story for me.
That's another thing that I prepared this question.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, how would you compare being homeless in Rochester than being homeless elsewhere, like California, San Francisco? Because it's funny, because even though you're homeless, you're home.
Yeah.
In a way, in a weird way, the streets of Rochester feel maybe more like home than, say, it's the streets of Kansas, whatever.
I could say cross country is definitely, we have the weather is the big factor. That's the factor. We live in New York. You know, I call this home because I was born and raised here, and I know the streets and I know the history. But I call, you know, there's nooks and crannies at Long Beach I could call home. You know, at certain times, I lived in Landscatter, California for a year and a half in the desert, you know, and that, you know, my homelessness has always been back and forth. And the hard part when I came back this last time, this stable time, is that the definition of homelessness is very vague sometimes. Like, I wasn't qualified as homeless because I was johnnying on tour. Like, you can go from your friend's couch to a punk rock tour, back to your friend's couch, and you're not technically homeless chronically. You know?
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense. I could sleep in a Greyhound station in every city in America, and I'm still not chronically homeless. The thing I used to get is, why don't you just work? You know, and you can work. Yeah, well, there's things. There's things that people don't take in the hand. You know, there's things that I'm dealing with right now with my homelessness. Try being on the streets for 10 years. Try being on the streets for 10 years.
They have no idea.
The beard and the 40 ounce. Can I have $1? You know, and we're dealing with soccer moms that are homeless now. Literally, we have soccer moms that are homeless with their kids. Here in Rochester, living in vans. What's wrong with that?
Oh my God, that's crazy.
You know,
I didn't know that.
We live in a state, we live in a country with brick and mortars falling down. In 4 years, we're not going to have any more malls, and we have more homeless people than the brick and mortars.
This starts to feel a little political. Let's just give me a little bit of an idea of where you stand when it comes to politics.
I come
Republican, otherwise.
I come from the person. Politics are a big veil of inhumanity. It's a big charade of not helping you, help me, help the other. And that's what the hard part is. Government's not going to help us. It comes to our communities, and people go, oh, my vote's not going to count. Democrat, Republican, liberal, whatever. It's called, you know, we want to go way back and call it Marxism and communism and socialism. It's about my neighbor needs help. I'm going to help my neighbor. I don't need a government person to tell me I can help my neighbor. Bottom line.
Absolutely.
You know? And that's how I feel. You know, we need to just learn to say, our city streets are our city streets. It's up to us to take care of our city streets. You know?
Going back to homelessness, to what degree do you think it becomes a core element of your identity, and does it at all?
It does,
like,
for me, definitely.
It's something you identify with. Like, say, you're a character, you embraced it, and it becomes part of like who you are.
Yeah, I think it's gotten, over the decades, it's changed from the American hobo that we know as the freight train character, you know. We all have that.
Absolutely.
We have that perception of the hobo on the freight train, and that's, now we have the freight, now we still have the punk rock kids in the Bay Area, and the punk rock kids with their dogs and the acoustic guitars playing. That's homelessness. It's a trend of homelessness. I mean, it's a lot easier to be homeless on your own terms, you know. I mean, because homelessness, you got to remember, is freedom in a way. I mean, that's a weird way to say it. It's freedom.
Back in the day. Song's called The Boy. The average man is like bland by rich businessman. Teaches him not to depend on what he can't depend. We teach our kids they can't be what they want to be, and that dream wrong reality. Well, they take what they want and they leave scraps behind, forcing the little man to slowly step aside, never caring about the lives they destroy, always thinking of another finished work, a finished work. Under bridges, cold dark alleys, and abandoned homes, always searching for a place just to call their own. Society, great tragedy, they said it's meant to be. Well, billionaires buy out big property. Well, they take what they want and they leave scraps behind, forcing the little man to slowly step aside, never caring about the lives they destroy, always thinking of another thing to exploit. The thing to exploit. The thing to exploit. I hope I see the day when everything would be okay, and our life would never fade. I hope I see the time when everything would work out right, and our life would fall in love. Whoa, oh, oh. Whoa. Whoa, oh, oh. Whoa. That was predated in 2008. Now, if they want to wonder what Kaiser came from.
People have this perception that people are addicted when they're homeless. It's a mental health thing first. It's a mental health thing. There's a lot of mental health factors. There's paranoia. There's, you ever slept on a park bench, drunk one night, because it's, you know, and then woke up going, oh shit, I'm here, I gotta get home. That weird, awkward feeling. Imagine that every night. Imagine that every night. Or not knowing where you're gonna end up. That insecurity of, you know that you can go down the street, put a key in your door, and you're safe. And there's a place that you can go to. Imagine not having a place. You have this place, which is open certain hours. You have Starbucks, which is only open certain hours. And there's rules, you know. Homelessness is systematic. It really is systematic because there's no hurdles. 90% of people's perceptions of why a person became homeless is because they're on drugs. And that's not the case. 90% of it is they lost their job because a robot took their job. They got laid off because of something. They had a rough spot with their family and something happened. There's guys out here, how many veterans? For a person to tell a homeless vet you can't have a 40 ounce after you've served your country, that's messed up. You know, and
Absolutely.
that's the thing. And you're dealing with the elements. You know, when it came to me and substances, it was. I'll tell you what. I didn't know what marijuana was until my mother was buried in a grave. I didn't know what substances were until I was in a foster home. Punk rock music did not introduce substances to me. The system did. You don't have politics and religion talks at the dinner table. That's why we're scared of each other. Because we didn't have those talks. Now we gotta talk across the internet to each other. We can't sit down face to face and go, hey man, this is how I feel about something, without somebody get butthurt about it, you know?
This is, I think, a very important part of this interview. And as a parting shot right now in this like little sequence, what would be something that you would like people to know and to be more aware of when dealing with homeless people? And
They're just like you. I know everybody says everybody's one step paycheck away from being homeless, but no, you just have to talk to people. Conversation starts here. You know, and the voice of one can inspire the voices of many, and I do believe a deaf person can have a conversation. So can we.
This is the story of my life. But 27 days before my birthday, we're 28 years, but yeah, we fucking changed. We were born the 30th of July, is when I realized that my tipsy heart could not be denied. The times realized that we'll find ourselves back in Oregon. Hillsborough, Eugene, and then on to Portland. Well, I got on a plane to Clearwater Beach, and I ended up in a town called St. Pete, Florida. It's there I stopped to see where my life is meant to be. I play these songs on your streets. The times we realize that we'll find ourselves back in Oregon. Hillsborough, Eugene, and then on to Portland. When times I compromise, like the Diamond Little Five, they sang my songs with me all night. But then I had to go and flee the East Coast, Hollywood to San Francisco. The times realize that we'll find ourselves back in Oregon. Hillsborough, Eugene, and then on to Portland. We're passing time, we're doing fine. We're passing time, we're doing fine. There's usually a Brian here. But I was always fucking said, well I promised I would always stay, yeah. I would always stay, yeah. I would always stay.
Fuck yes, that was fucking incredible. Awesome, there you have it.
Oh shit.
Fuck yeah.
That's fun.
All right.
That was fun. Oh shit.
Yeah. Before I met Lenny, before I met everybody, randomly on the streets of Seattle, Washington, 2 years ago.
Traveler song before it even was recorded.
How do you find this video on YouTube?
I don't know. It's Kaiser Solche, I think. Send it to you. There's a lot of there's a lot of random weird things that happen. Like wow. Yeah, there's that come in hand. You can't. Everybody just goes, oh, just give them keys, give them an apartment, plop them in. They're good. They're no longer homeless. They're good, right? No. There's so much other stuff. You know, I still sleep on my couch. I have a friend that slept on cardboard in his living room for a year. He slept in the police garage for 5 years. All he knew was sleeping on cardboard. Why would you change? It's embedded. It's embedded. There's habits and traits that you can't just take away. You know, you gotta give a person a house. You gotta. And then you gotta sit with it. The problem with the housing system right now is with housing versus we're housing people and not taking care of the issues. With the housing versus model, we have harm reduction. And it's good, harm reduction, but you have to help the person. My thing is empowerment. Like when I got housed with Nick, he made sure I had a guitar. You can't just give for somebody who doesn't really care about being housed. You gotta get something to give them. You gotta get a heartstring. You gotta get passion. You can't, because I know guys that would go. I know a lady that's been homeless for 20 years in this city and won't take keys. Will not take keys. Why? Why won't a lady take keys? That's another concern, right?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Doing what I love doing. I think it was Dead Poets Society. I believe in being great, not successful. Success runs out. Greatness lives on forever.
Fuck yeah.
You know, that's just truth. It's true. Success dies when the successful die. Greatness, they'll talk about it. They'll talk about it at the water cooler forever. You know, that's the value of doing things. You know, this is me. This is me. But you know, when Puff Daddy was sitting next to Biggie Smalls' dead body, the person he called was a guy named Clarence. And what they say about this guy named Clarence was that he had an ability to put people together in a good way. And I realized, as sitting down and going through all these stories, that's what I've done all my life. From high school to childhood, I've always put people together. You know, I can walk around and go, that's magic. That's not gypsy magic, that's just magic. Not even magic. I don't know what you call it.
Fuck yeah.
It's like Steve Jobs, if you believe in it enough. Steve Jobs was an asshole, but he believed in it enough.